It's also really important to work with your choir director to arrange your choir. When I was in college singing in a choir, I was a baritone. I had a baritone to my left, a baritone to my right, surrounded by baritones. This was good for me because I'm not a very good singer and I could hear what the person was singing next to me and try to follow along. However, that's not what happens a lot of times in church choirs, right? They blend them. Which would you prefer, a sectional choir or a blended choir?
I prefer to have people blend it together and have them blend themselves as far as soprano, alto, tenor, bass. I find that achieves a better sound, but it does require that you work closely with your choir director in order to move people around so that they sound the best and achieve the best sound in the room.
Now with that 60-degree cone of sensitivity you'd find in a cardioid mic, I would imagine that the louder singers and the quieter singers, it's going to be vital where you position them within that radius, right?
Yeah, it really is. Now typically the microphone's going to pick up pretty evenly over that 60 degrees if everybody's equidistant away.
Right.
But if you put people near the edges that are maybe louder, or you can kind of do some things to kind of move people around. If you had somebody who's especially loud, you could maybe move that person to the edge of the pattern a little bit. And also it also has a lot to do with them feeling comfortable to sing out and who they're hearing.
And I guess if you were to have a choir where you're miking them by section, you would, by definition, have to have a mic for each section, which means maybe quite a few microphones for a small choir.
Yeah, it introduces a whole lot of difficulties. They can be overcome if the choir is willing to work with you, but I mean, obviously they're subject to how you mix the sound, and as an artist, I'd like to tend to hand that job back to them. Mm-hmm. So I try to get them to blend themselves. If you're doing like a soprano, alto, tenor, bass, optimally you'd have 4 microphones. But then you have to have 20 altos, 20 tenors, 20 sopranos, and 20 basses.
Yeah, not likely.
Probably not.
Okay, so work with your choir director and remember to orchestrate your choir in such a way, configure them within the range of your microphones. Physically move your choir around on the tiers to get the best and fullest sound. So we've been talking about miking a choir for live purposes in the church or in the concert hall. It's also benefits for recording your choir as well. Can't you just use the microphones that we've been using for the PA for recording?
Yeah, if you're detailed in your setup and you pay attention and it sounds really good in the room, most likely it's going to sound pretty good on a recording.
You can just take a bus out of your console and hook it up to a 2-track recorder and press record. You'll have a pretty good recording.
You could. There's other techniques that I think would probably sound better if you're trying to do a recording. So like say you're doing chamber music, mm-hmm. You might want to put mics out in your room, probably use a different kind of microphone with a different polar pattern maybe, so that you get to pick up all the reflections and ambient sound that your room has to offer.
But you would not want to do that technique for the PA system though, right?
That's true. What we're talking about here with our miking techniques is specifically geared towards live sound, not recorded sound.
If you follow these practices and these rules of thumb, you're going to get a pretty good live recording from your PA microphones. But you can also use additional microphones in conjunction with your PA microphones and get the option to record your choir in a number of ways.